I'd like to welcome everybody to the January meeting of the Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation Commission. Happy New Year to everybody. I hope everybody had a great Christmas and holiday season and New Year's. This time we'll call the meeting to order. And we're going to change things up a little bit today. Since our last meeting, I think everybody in here is probably aware that our city, community, particularly this department, lost a very dear friend, visionary, man who led this department for many, many, many years and was involved in this department since he was a young man. And Chris and I were talking about it before the meeting. Obviously, we're talking about Dennis Rainier. And Chris and I were talking before the meeting. I've known Dennis literally my whole life. I can remember vividly he and Mr. Duffy raking fields and working on stuff. And had the privilege and honor to work with him here on the commission, since 1994 for me. But what I'd like to do is start our meeting with a moment of silence and prayer for Dennis. Thank you. Now, if you would, stand and join me and face the flag for the prayer. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I believe everybody received their packet earlier in the week, and contained in the packet were the minutes from our last meeting, which was November 9th. Give everybody a chance to review the minutes. We'll make any corrections or changes as needed, and if there are none, entertain a motion for acceptance.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. We'll dive now into our business on the agenda today. First up is the Murfreesboro Half Marathon donations. This is something we look forward to every year, and we're looking forward to the results from this year. Welcome, Jim.
Good morning, or good afternoon, I guess. It's after lunch. It's always an honor to come here after the race and all of the work and the effort that this huge team of over 400 puts together, and to offer some checks to some of the very worthy organizations that have worked with us. When we get to come here, the 2,000 some runners that joined together with the volunteers put on an event that we're excited about. The best part is getting to give back to some of these organizations. So we're going to go through these and have some checks for some individuals here, and we want to say thank you to them for what their contribution was to this race. We'd like to begin with the Oakland's Historic House Museum. We'd like to donate $1,000 to them. Is there somebody here from Oakland? We'll set this one aside. For Main Street Revitalization, we'd also like to donate $1,000 to them as well. The Triborough Racing Series, it's an event that encourages kids to be active. We would like to donate $1,000 to them as well. The Sons of Confederacy provide Civil War actors for Oakland's Mansion, which our race runs right by. And I know they are not here, but Mona has agreed to accept this check for them. The Rutherford County Convention and Visitors Bureau, they help to get the word out and to promote this event. And anything we can do to promote Rutherford County is always a blessing. And we would like to donate $2,000 to the Rutherford County Convention and Visitors Bureau. We couldn't put this race on without the Murfreesboro Police Department. The officers that serve the race have been amazing for 5 years. And we would like to, again, say thanks to them with a $2,000 donation.
Now, as in the years past, this donation has been used for bikes that are used on the Greenway, and they're specially fitted bikes that are expensive. And these bikes are also used, I believe, for crowd control in other parts of the city and other events. So we're happy to be able to provide this.
And also, as a part of the police department, they have something called the 100 Club, a police benevolent fund, and we would like to make a $2,500 donation to this organization. There's an organization called the Hershey Track and Field, and it's used to help kids provide what they need to compete with the shoes, apparel, different items for running that they can't afford. And we'd like to make a donation to the Hershey Track and Field of $2,500. Get those kids running. We're going to see them in a few years, I'm betting. In appreciation to the support from MTSU and Coach Hayes for BRAA, for MTSU Track, we would like to make a $3,000 donation. We could not put this race on without all that MTSU offers to us. Our runners in Murfreesboro experience an amazing thing running along the Greenway, and now as it spreads out further and further. So Friends of the Greenway is an organization that we've worked closely with, and we would like to make a $3,000 donation in thanks for them providing such a wonderful place to train for all of our runners. You are very welcome. And of course, we couldn't have put this race on without Murfreesboro Parks and Rec to help pay for the various items that are used, like traffic cones, tents, water station supplies, and all of the different work that they've done. We'd like to make a $4,000 donation to Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation. You're very welcome. Today's donations equal $22,500. If we total those up with some donations that have been given out already with organizations that helped with volunteers, the total amount is $34,450, and approximately 485 volunteers helped this year. That's overwhelming that we get to give that back to the community. So to Murfreesboro, for Rutherford County, we want to say thank you, and I know Melinda is going to list some of the organizations that have already received their money.
Every year, a lot of groups help out to prepare for the race, and they're there on race day, doing things from stuffing goodie bags to helping out with packet pickup, registration, monitoring the course. And these are some of the organizations that also receive donations for helping out during the race. The Discovery Center, Kappa Alpha, the District Lions Club, Rotary Club, Noon Exchange Club, Riverdale ROTC, Girl Scout Troop 1609, and those medals, each one comes individually wrapped and taped. So those Girl Scouts do a good job unwrapping those medals for us. The Junior League of Murfreesboro, Books from Birth, Special Kids, Greenhouse Ministries, Holy Cross Church, and Siegel High School Cross Country. And the total of these donations is $11,950, and that's added to total $34,000. So we are very, very fortunate to have these volunteer groups help us, and it's a big community putting on a big event, and we appreciate it. Thanks.
In closing, Tennessee is ranked second worst in obesity, and we feel like we get to do something about that. You watch these runners that some of them have never run 8 miles, let alone 13.1, and you're there about 3.5 or 4 hours after the race started, and they're still finishing They don't give up. And we're excited about being a part of making Tennessee a healthier place, and we thank you for your support and encouragement, and we'll see you for year number 6 next year. Thank you.
Jim and Melinda, thank you guys for all the work that you and the many other volunteers that put that event together. It's turned out to be one of our feature events every year, so it's hard to believe this is going to be year number 6. That's amazing. We'll move now to item number 2, which is a USTA grant proposal. I'll turn it over to Lanny.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. Recently, I've been working with the United States Tennis Association, and we have Mr. Joey Ward. He's going to come up in just a minute, who is a representative for Tennessee for USTA. And one of the areas that the United States Tennis Association is working on is promoting the junior league tennis. And we're very fortunate that Mr. Ward has located himself here in Murfreesboro. We're glad that he's joined us as a resident. But he's also come to say that we would like to participate as USTA with the Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation Department and form a partnership. And he is offering a $10,000 grant for the renovation of the courts at Patterson. Of course, this would be something that would benefit the schools, benefit our department, and benefit the community in terms of providing these new courts. There's a new Quick Start program that USTA has started, and he's got some pictures here in a minute. He's going to show you the courts. But what we'd be doing is we'd be taking the 2 regulation courts and converting those 2 regulation courts. One side would be 4 regulation junior team tennis courts, and then there would be 1 regulation size court with an outline of a junior team tennis. So we'd actually have 6 courts on that 2-court system. We would propose that, if approved, that we start preparing the plans and specifications, have that ready for bid in March, have construction begin in April, and have the courts ready for May. And with that, I can bring up Mr. Ward and let him talk about what he would do.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hey, Joey.
Good afternoon.
Like Lanny said, my name is Joey Ward, and I'm a tennis service representative for the USTA Southern. And if you're not familiar with the USTA Southern, we comprise of 9 states in the southern southeast part of the United States, excluding Florida. And there are 17 sections in the USTA, and we're the largest. And each state has a tennis service representative in their state, like myself. And the president of the board of directors of the southern section has allocated funds for each TSR, is what we're called, to go out to the communities of the states that they represent and try to find a community that has a partnership with schools. The Parks and Rec has a great mindset with the community, and the idea is to give them an opportunity to have some courts to grow the game of tennis. And so I just recently moved here from Idaho 6 months ago to take this position, and I've been all over the state of Tennessee with my position. I've met with Parks and Recs, I've met with local clubs, I've met with school districts, and I feel strongly that Murfreesboro has a great upswing in the growth of tennis with the respect and relationships within the city schools, the community tennis associations here in Murfreesboro, as well as the Parks and Rec department. And so, with that said, like Lanny was mentioning, the USTA has developed what they call a quick start play format. And what we've done, and it started about 4 years ago, was reduce the size of tennis for kids 10 and under, giving them an opportunity, an easier way to play the game. And what that comprises of is smaller rackets, foam balls, low compression balls, and smaller courts. So a kid that's 8 and under would play on a 36-foot court, and a kid that is 10 and under would play on a 60-foot court. And these rules have been institutionalized starting January 1st of this year. And for the past 3 years, we have been trying to get the word out and promote the rule changes. And I believe we've been doing a very successful job at that. But this year, our president wants to push it one step further and start building these courts for these kids that are learning to play on this format. So what I'd like to do is use Patterson Park as our Tennessee project to allow the 36-foot courts as well as the 60-foot court blended lines to be here in Murfreesboro for the kids and the citizens of the city. So with that said, I'd like to show you some pictures of 2 states that have completed this project so far, Georgia as well as North Carolina, and it can give you a perspective of what I anticipate Patterson Park to look like. So, there we go. So this is actually in Georgia, and this is what the courts looked like before. And what we try to do is try to look for 2 court sites that are run down, have cracks in them, and are not being played on very much. And here's another picture of it. And this is what the after project is going to look like, and this is what I hope Patterson Park will look like. Is if you see on the far left, that's a regulation size 36-foot court with permanent nets and permanent lines. And then on the far side of the fence is a regulation size 78-foot court with blended lines inside the court to make it a 60-foot court. So that far right court will be the one where the 10 and under kids play on, and then on the far left would be the 4 courts that our kids 8 and under would be playing on. Now I will tell you that these courts are not just for the kids at 8 and under. We have, depending on the skill level, we can have kids 12, 14, 16, even adults play on those courts with foam balls or low compression balls. It's a really good time, and if you actually step on it, it's really nice because as an 8 and under kid, you would not feel intimidated to step on the court and learn the game of tennis. And there's a little closer look at it. And then here's the same project, similar project that happened in North Carolina. Same situation, the courts were ran down, scuffed, the first layer had been taken off, and this is the after effect. And what you see is the middle of between the 2 courts there'll be some fences, and I hope to project that at the Patterson Park as well. And so that's the middle line fence that you'll see, and hopefully we'll get that at Patterson Park. And so with that said, like Lanny was mentioning, the USTA Southern has allocated $10,000 to my discretion to the city that would go to, and I'd like it to go to Murfreesboro and Patterson Park. So did you guys have any questions or anything like that?
Thanks, Joy. Any questions for Joy? Looks like an awesome project.
If I could just add, too, that one of the other benefits here, especially having Mr. Ward in our city, is the fact that he's agreed to give joint instruction to the parks, to the schools, and to the Murfreesboro Tennis Association in how to begin this type of league, how to instruct the children. And I've played on these types of courts, and with that foam ball that he's talking about, the feel of hitting it over the net on the shorter courts is almost essentially the same as it is playing a bigger court. So you start with that same type of feel in the beginning of tennis. So it's really a neat application to do that. We've got some junior tennis courts at Old Fort already on the old courts, but it's the double lines where we have it on the full courts. But this will be the first courts that we've had that are actually the regulation courts that are set up just for that. And that will lend a lot to our tennis program, to the instruction of our youth, and when we host tournaments too. And we will be hosting tournaments in the future, so it'll add to our tournament sites as well. So we would recommend that we move forward.
Any other questions or comments?
2 questions. There seems to be a sense of urgency in your timeline. I've never seen a timeline so well defined. Why is that? And 2, does that work with the procedures you have within the Parks and Rec Department?
Mr. Roediger, I think that we can meet those timelines. Ms. Baker and I was talking before. We'll have an agreement that we'll draw up between the USTA and the city, and we'll be putting those specifications together. They'll be reviewed by our legal, but we think that's a doable timeline.
And
And the reason that I would like to have the timeline so short is to give the opportunity for the Murfreesboro Parks and Rec, as well as our Community Tennis Association, to have the opportunity to run summer programs on there. So they'd have time to, so when the program actually starts, that they would be playing on those courts.
all right, thank you.
I've got a couple of questions as well, Mr. Chairman. With this new design, is that 10 and under court is not going to be a regulation size court?
It will be.
It will still be.
Yeah,
but they'll
it's
have
a
the
regulation
lines.
size. The white lines will be actually the 78-foot court. The blended lens I'm talking about is a little lighter shade of blue. You can still see the lines, but it'll be inside. So an adult could still play a regulation game of tennis on there.
Okay. Second question, you're talking about the fence. Is there going to be some ingress and egress between the two court levels within the framework of the facility, or is it something you have to go out and around?
There will be.
Okay.
What it'll do, Mr. Tips, essentially is it'll take one of the courts, there's two courts there that are set parallel to each other, and it'll take one of those courts and just redo it as it is and put the smaller line inside that court. It'll take the other courts where you would traditionally hit north to south, you'll be hitting east to west on 4 courts, so you'll just put 2 courts, you'll turn 2 courts east-west on each side of what you would think the net would be. And so that's how those 4 courts.
Do we have lighting on that court?
We do.
Good questions. Any others?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the program as presented.
Okay. We have a motion? Second. A second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Joy, welcome to our community, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
We'll move now to item number 3, proposed Greenway Monument. This item will be a review and discussion only today. I'll turn it back over to Lanny.
Mr. Chair, we have, since we've passed our donation policy, we have received an application, and since this is our first, instead of bringing it to you with a recommendation, I bring it to you for discussion so that we can talk and I can tell you where we are in the review and what we're going to do in terms of vetting this. This is for a monument. It is for the Sons of Confederate Veterans Camp 1513. I met yesterday with Mr. Mike Corley, who represents that group. We did walk the Greenway. In your packet, what you find is the application. You find the Exhibit A, which is a history of that unit, which is the 16th Tennessee. You see a historical map, and it's a little hard to see, but there are 3 boxes located next to the river, and you can see the X there. There's where they were proposing. And in the next page, you see a GIF map that is of that particular section, and I've got that X'd and highlighted. And that was one of the things I pointed out to Mr. Corley yesterday, that is not on city property. So we looked at a couple of other alternatives yesterday, one being possibly the trailhead there at 84 Lumber, the other one being the trailhead at General Bragg headquarters, where we have the shelter on the Greenway. There was another site that we looked at, which is just to the left of the X in the open space between the spur railroad tracks and the trail there as well. One of the things that we want to make sure that we do when we review this application is that an application of this magnitude, and this is pretty big because this is something that will be there long after all of us are gone. Monuments last for a long, long time. Matter of fact, you see the length of it, it's perpetuity. Infinity into the future. But we want to make sure that, number one, it meets all of the regulations that would be in terms of city, local, or state codes, property limitations, easements, setbacks, etc. So we'll need to get with the planning department to make sure that we're okay in that regard. The obelisk that they're proposing is 20 feet tall, or 18 to 20 feet tall. Obviously, there's some engineering that will need to be done. We'll need some assurance that that is stable if we allow that to be placed. There's some grading and engineering that will need to be done in terms of if we create a plaza for drainage onto the trail, ADA access, et cetera. So planning, engineering would be required. And then, of course, the other thing that we want to make sure of is that it fits the mission of what we're doing, and that's specified in our rules and guidelines for our policy, and that it meets the theme that's established along the Greenway. Now, you know, if you walk the Greenway from McFadden Trace to all the way to Fortress Rosecrans, there are wayside exhibits that tell the story of the Civil War. And those are very well done. It talks about all the different things. There's battles, the roles of the railroad, the plight of women during the Civil War, a lot of different items that is really kind of a historical trail as you walk down. So we want to make sure that as we do that, that it is telling a story of something that happened at that particular location. So in our conversations with this group, we've said that if we would consider looking at what we have, wayside exhibits along the way, and I think they may be acceptable to that, maybe even to a smaller monument or something of that nature. So we're in discussions at that point. We just want you to know that what they're proposing is not hard and fast, but they want something that will represent what this group sacrificed at that particular location. The other consideration that we're looking at is the security of that particular piece. Now, we have a lot of graffiti, vandalism along the trail at certain times. Sometimes we'll go along for months and not have anything, and then our bridges are tagged underneath. We try to stay ahead of that by painting over. We have a paint that essentially is the same color as the concrete. So when they come in and tag, it's who can outlast who, and we usually outlast whoever's tagging. But we may go through 3 or 4 or 5 and have police come down and, stake that out and see if they can find out who's doing that. But those are things that we've talked about as well. And then the maintenance. I know in their proposal, their application, they were stating 0 basically for maintenance. But there will be some maintenance to that particular site. So determining if there are monies set aside for maintenance for that, or who is responsible for the ongoing care of whatever is established, is still to be determined. So we have a lot of work in front of us to bring this back before we bring it back to this body for consideration. But we want to bring it to you today, give it to you early so you can read over it and see if there was other areas or other items that you would like for us to look at as we vet this and go through and see if we can reach some type of agreement with this group before we bring it back for your recommendation.
Okay. Any questions, comments, general discussion?
Well, I've seen these memorials in other places, become the point of a controversy, and I just would like to make sure y'all do your research. It would be, I'm just going to give the worst case scenario. He was founding father with Bedford Forrest on the Ku Klux Klan. That could be controversial to the public. So again, honor these folks. I think that's great on both sides, but I don't want any surprises to come before y'all.
Any other comments, questions?
To the maintenance of it, I think some money should be set aside for, even though they're putting a monument there, say if it wear and tear, if a tornado tear it down, or whatever, who's going to be responsible for the removal and the upkeep of the monument. I think that's one of the things that need to be discussed as well, and also the graffiti and other aspects of it. I don't think that should really fall upon Parks and Rec to take care of that, but they should have some kind of agreement too to take some kind of responsibility for. And I agree with Mr. Rodeker. It may be a sensitive matter. If we do the research and see who this monument is in honor for, because I know a lot of the Nathan Bedford Forrest monuments they have removed and taken down because of his association. So we don't want to do anything that's going to really offend any group of people, because it just, to me, it's just, it can cause some controversy that way as well.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Well, Dennis, we'll look forward to you continue. Lanny, we will look forward to you.
I was thinking the same thoughts. This journey, it
been on my mind a lot lately.
Mine too.
We'll look forward to you continuing to work with the group. It's there's no denying the historical significance of the river as it pertains to our community, and particularly during the war. But I do think it's important, particularly given that we've put a lot of hard work into developing the policy that directs this, since this is our first one, to make sure that we do it right. And I think the group that is going to want that same exact thing. So we look forward to you coming back with a recommendation, and we'll act on it at that time.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks,
That was the reason I wanted to bring it to you, especially this first one. The first one happened to be a big one. So,
Absolutely.
So I wanted to bring it to you and tell you where we're going, get direction from you, and where you'd like to see us go, and so we'll start doing that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, item number 4, is a consideration of the facility holiday schedule. Back to you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, each year I bring you a schedule of our holiday schedules for our facilities. It's pretty much the same as it was before. Of course, the city has 11 recognized holidays. What we do, depending on when that holiday falls, it may be a day off for city employees, but what we do is we recognize that particular holiday. For example, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a holiday that is for city employees, and the following day, Thursday and Friday. But what we do in our facility is we're closed Thanksgiving Day, and we open for regular hours the day after. So we know that the general citizenship is wanting to come to the rec centers and so forth, so we make the schedules work. On the eves, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, we close our facilities at 5 o'clock. Again, that's a holiday, and Christmas Eve is a holiday for city employees, but we're open for the general public, but we close at 5 on those 2 eves as well. So I would recommend that this commission approve the holiday schedule for 2012 for our facilities.
Move for approval.
Have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Schedule's approved.
Thank you.
Item 5, we've got several new program proposals. And Melinda, you're back up. Looks like you have the first 2.
Getting people on the Greenway. One program is called the Greenway 100 Club, and you can run, walk, bike, roller skate 100 miles on the Greenway, and when you do, you'll get a T-shirt that says Greenway 100 Club, and a decal or magnet for your car, a certificate, and then probably some random door prizes that we'll give out. It's for all ages, and it'll kick off March 10th when the weather gets a little bit warmer. And 100 miles, really, it sounds intimidating, but usually you can walk 3 miles in an hour, so it adds up pretty quickly. And there is a fee, a $10 fee, and that will cover the cost of the T-shirt and the decals. Does anybody have any questions about that one?
Why don't you go ahead and cover your other one, and we'll do them both at the same time.
Okay. The Greenway Ramblers. I've had a lot of comments from people. They love the Greenway, but they don't want to be there by themselves. So the Greenway Ramblers is an opportunity for people to come and run or walk with a group on Saturday mornings, starting at 7 o'clock, which sounds early, but it warms up. So if you're running, 7 is a perfect time. It's not really a training program. We won't be giving training advice or anything like that, but it's just an opportunity for people to get together and run or walk as a group. This will be a $25 charge because we plan on giving away technical shirts like the runners will wear, and we'll provide snacks and water at different intervals along the Greenway. And that's a 10-week program.
Okay.
The reason why I came up with this, we had kind of a last-minute free program at the Gateway Island where people could come and run one night between New Year's and Christmas. It was a Thursday night. We had 80 people show up.
Wow.
There wasn't a charge for it. It was just show up. And I think it's because there was a group there. They felt safe, and it didn't cost anything. It was just something to do. So I think this is the same concept, the Greenway Ramblers.
Any questions of Melinda regarding the Greenway 100 or the Greenway Ramblers program? If there are none, we need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melinda. Great programs. Terry? Come on up. Terry Womack's going to tell us about the tween teen scene.
We're going to try to get the tweens, which are 11, 12-year-olds, and some teenagers, 13 and up, involved in some arts and crafts and some cooking classes and this, that, and the other. And so we're going to start out with some craft classes at Sportscom on Saturdays, and from 9 to 11, and we're going to do Crafts My Room, and so we're going to make clocks and thumbtacks and bulletin boards and picture frames and collages and things like that. And the cost is $35 for the 5 weeks, so that's like $7 a class. So I don't think you can beat that. And then we'll see how that goes, and then maybe we'll do candy making or cake decorating or whatever the teens are interested in. So.
All right. Any questions of Terry regarding this program? Oh, no, we need a motion for acceptance.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. Terry, thank you for being here. Great work.
Thank you. I get the next one,
You
too.
get the next one, too. I totally skipped that. All right.
Last year we ran a 2-week Creative Arts Day Camp at the Wilderness Station, and we charged $150. This year we're just going to run 1 week, mostly because of their schedule and because of our schedule as well. So the class is $75, but we'd like to add a $25 activity fee because we do things like copper enameling and wood burning and stained glass. So we're doing a little more high-end, I guess, things than just coloring and this, that, and the other. And so we'd like to add the $25 activity fee.
Okay. Any questions of Terry regarding this program?
Likewise, I move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Appreciate you being here. Nate Williams is up for our last new program of the day, which is Outdoor Kids.
That's right. We're excited to try to keep on offering more quality program. And this program that I'm speaking about today is a program designed to try to engage families with preschoolers on the, our trailheads and our different parks. It's called Outdoor Kids. Our program coordinator who will be organizing this program is Deborah Pascal, who has a lot of experience doing these types of things with preschoolers, and we look forward to it. It's for ages 1 to 4 on Thursdays in the springtime, March, April, and May. It's a free program, like I said, with the purpose of exposing kids with places to hike, watch birds. We're going to be doing some physical activities, sing-alongs, that type of thing. And hopefully they'll take that back to their families and come back on the weekends when they can come enjoy some passive, nature activities and go on the Greenway and kind of see everything that we have. So, like I said, this is March, April, May. March, it's going to be at Old Fort Park. April, it's going to be at the General Bragg Trailhead, and then May, it's the Case Lane Trailhead. So, like I said, it's a free. We have no cost involved with it, and I think it's a good opportunity, like I said, to engage those and expose those kids to other facilities that we have outside instead of just like Patterson Park or Wilderness Station. So, I'm seeking your approval for this free program.
Any questions for Nate? Need a motion?
I recommend approval.
Thank you.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Nate, thank you for being here. And Nate, before you leave, congratulations on another successful polar bear plunge. We've heard nothing but great things about it.
It was a good event.
Ricky was wanting to know if he could use the pool this weekend.
Absolutely. It was pretty warm this weekend. I know the aquatic staff put a large amount of work into that, and it looked great as always. And I still haven't heard the final number. But I have an inclination that it was more than we've
Becky's
ever had
waving. I think she has it, so don't steal her.
Yeah, so, yeah, but like I said, the aquatic staff did a good job. Nikki Hensley, who's our aquatics coordinator, did an excellent job preparing before she left on maternity leave. But it was an excellent event.
Great work, and thanks as always for what you do.
Mr. Chair, just a comment. Mr. Turner was there. Of course, Mr. Bratcher emceed like he always did. We talked Mr. Turner into going back, changing his clothes, and he came back and went off the board. Very brave. Yeah. Go off the board.
Well, there's another word for it. There's another word for it.
I can tell you, when he hit the water, he went one way and his hat went the other. I think it kind of catches you. Even though it's a 58-degree day, water's 47 degrees.
Man.
And that's a pretty big temperature change, and if you're not used to 47-degree water, it really kind of gets you
I don't know
quick.
anybody that's used to 47-degree water. Okay? You're sick if you are. Penguins, that's exactly right.
You have to put that in perspective, too, because when you do triathlons, if it's less than 80 degrees, they let you wear a wetsuit. So 47 degrees is... 33 degrees below what you wear with a wetsuit.
Well, guys, that's always fun.
But we had a lot of folks. I know Becky's going to give us a number, but it was a great day. Councilman Young, he jumped. Judge Ben Hall McFarland was there. He jumped. Former Fire Chief David Baxter was there. I think David's been there all except 1 year and jumped. So it was a great event.
That's awesome. Becky, that leaves you. You're up. Last but certainly not least, give us some department highlights.
Well, good afternoon. And since we've been discussing our 9th annual Polar Bear Plunge, there were over 600 people in attendance and 473 people that actually jumped into the water. So that was the final number, 473. And 600 includes all the people that came to support them and cheer them on and hold the dry towels when they came running back out of the pool. I was amazed at how many people actually stayed in the pool this time. So it was a good turnout. And some of our upcoming things or ongoing programs to mention, we had our buy one, get one sale in December, but now in January we have our 25% off sale that's going on now through the month of January. It's 25% off in all individual yearly and monthly passes, which is good for both Sportscom and Patterson. And the sale ends January 31st at 9 p.m. So you have until the end of the month to get your 25% off passes. And for those of you who are considering why buy passes with Parks and Rec rather than a gym, we don't have joining fees. We won't charge you extra for the privilege of buying our passes. We have no contracts. We won't commit you to a multi-year contract. You have your choice of yearly or monthly. And we have pools, indoor pools, outdoor pools, wellness centers, full court gymnasiums, tot watch, water and land exercises, recreation programs, and more. So it's definitely worth pursuing a pass with Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation. And our upcoming events, we have our Black History Month celebration, and that is part of the Murfreesboro Bicentennial celebration, and that's at Patterson Park Community Center, and it will present Our People, which is a tribute to our multicultural heritage past and present. It's for all ages on Friday, February 3rd at 6 p.m. in the Patterson Park Community Center Theater. The event is free, and if anybody needs any more information, they can contact Ron Steed at 893-7439, and that's the number for Patterson. We have some upcoming aquatics to mention. We have our American Red Cross lifeguard and lifeguard instructor classes, which will be held in February. You can sign up now so that you're ready for the summer aquatic hiring season. The courses will both be held at Sportscom, and the contact person for that is Nikki Hensley or Kyle Goss, which is 895-5040. That's the number for Sportscom. Along those lines, we have our swim preschool and swim academy. Even though it's still a little chilly outside, water safety is always a priority. So we want people to make sure that their children are continuing to develop their water skills. We have the Swim Preschool for ages 6 months to 4 years, which is at Patterson Park, and the Swim Academy for ages 5 through 12, and then also 18 and older, which is held at Sportscom. And the classes are based on the American Red Cross Learn to Swim program, and they're taught by certified water instructors. And for more information, they can contact either Sportscom or Patterson to find out class times, fees, etc. Some of our upcoming athletics, we have our youth volleyball program, which is at Sportscom, and they have qualified coaches that give instruction on every aspect of the game, from beginners to advanced players. It's for those who are middle school and high school so they can get the opportunity to develop and refine their skills. So it's for ages 9 through 17 on Thursdays at Sportscom. We have some adult volleyball leagues. We have the Adult Recreation Co-ed Volleyball League, and that is at Patterson Park on Monday nights. That starts in February, but people are signing up now, and Thomas Laird wanted me to mention that if anybody out there is interested in the Co-ed Volleyball League, to contact them within the next couple days because it is almost full. Then we also have the Adult Power Co-ed Volleyball League, which is those who are a little bit more experienced in the game, and that plays on Thursday nights at Sportscom starting in February. Then I know it seems spring's around the corner. The weather today definitely seems spring-like, maybe not tomorrow. But we have our Spring Adult Softball League, and there's a coaches meeting. So anybody who has a team or is looking to form a team, there's a coaches meeting set for February 12th at Sportscom, and it's designed for those who are 18 and older. And then we also have the Spring Racquetball League, and that's designed for men and women of all ages, 13 and older. And that is a 7-week season that takes place at the Patterson Park Community Center at their racquetball courts there. And for all information on all our athletic programs, they can contact 907-2251 or athletics@murfreesborotn.gov. Some other programs we have a Valentine's Tea Party, and those are for those ages 3 to 10 on Saturday, February 11th at Patterson Park. And that's for girls to come all dressed up and have fun celebrating Valentine's Day with a tea party. And the contact person for that is Trina Pullum at Patterson Park. We have our Sunday series of fun. And Sunday, January 22nd, they will be making kirigami. So Marlene Sewell is going to explain different ways that you can use paper other than just making snowflakes with paper and scissors. And it's for families from 2 to 4 at Patterson Park Center, once again on Sunday, January 22nd. Then we have the St. Clair Classics. They will have an evening of dancing and music to sax and sounds. This is for those ages 60 and over on Friday, January 20th from 7 to 10 p.m. at the St. Clair Street Center, St. Clair Street Senior Center, and it is $5 admission at the door. Then we also have a Winter Wonderland party for preschoolers. This is to help them get over the wintertime blahs. Maybe they'll get them in the next couple days. Join in winter-themed games, crafts, and treats for ages 3 to 5 on Saturday, January 21st at 10 a.m. at the Wilderness Station. And to sign up, you call the Wilderness Station at 217-3017. We also have Music in the Wild at the Wilderness Station, and that is on January 14th, and there will be local artists who perform. The band is the Secret Commonwealth, which is a Celtic band, will be performing Saturday, January 14th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Wilderness Station. We also have a fairly new program called Geocaching 101. This is a real-world outdoor treasure hunting game using GPS-enabled devices. They will have coordinators who will give instruction on how to use these GPS devices and learn the basics and get started. They will have some equipment that you can borrow. And that's for all ages on Saturday, January 28th at 2 o'clock at the Wilderness Station. And reservations are required, so they just need to call 217-3017 to reserve spots. And then I have some department trivia for you. Some of you may have heard this over the years. I thought I'm just going to throw out some neat facts every so often. Murfreesboro Parks and Recreation manages approximately 1,088 acres of parkland with over $150 million in assets. Managing these resources is one of the department's largest responsibilities, which includes the maintenance and preservations of wetlands, rivers, forests, wildlife, plants, buildings, and equipment. During our peak season, you can see as many as 3,000 to 5,000 people in our larger parks per day. This translates to 10,000 to 15,000 people in all our parks on peak days. And since there's all these people at our parks, this is an interesting fact. The department has 188 commodes, 59 urinals, and 165 sinks, which are cleaned every day. That's been one of my favorite trivia facts. And this is all in addition to that list of programs that I gave you earlier, and all of our programs can be found on our website at murfreesborotn.gov/parks.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
Is there any other business to come before the commission? Being none, we stand adjourned. Thank you.